A wrong step on Bay Area buses by some of the public's most vulnerable riders.
Made a U-turn at the light, and I saw my parents on the stretcher.
2 Investigates asks the South Bay Transit Agency about their accountability when buses run over riders and drivers have no idea.
How was she able to be on the road that day with 3 prior collisions on her record?
On internal personnel issues.
As 2 Investigates presses Valley Transportation Authority for answers, we've learned new information about a recent incident that claimed the life of one of their own.
It appears a retired VTA employee was killed by the bus that he had just gotten off of. And investigative reporter Candace Wynn found this isn't the first time, Candace, that something like this has happened.
Yeah, Frank and Julie, in the last 4 years, there have been dozens of incidents involving VTA buses and pedestrians, a few of them deadly. But the death of a former VTA employee prompted us to look closer at the transit agency, and we discovered another similar incident that's now raising concerns about safety and transparency.
Congratulations on your retirement. 3 of Benny's closest friends.
A soft-spoken but loved Benny Chung celebrated retirement from Santa Clara Valley Transportation Authority after nearly 40 years. This Facebook video was posted last December.
So, how do you feel? Yeah. Grateful.
In March, Chung's body was found at First Street and Hawthorne Way in San Jose. According to a leaked internal VTA memo first reported by the Mercury News, Mr. Chung had just deboarded the VTA bus involved in this tragic accident. His autopsy report confirms his blood was on the bus.
My first reaction with Mr. Chung's death was that I knew exactly what happened. No ifs, ands, or buts.
Richard Alexander is a San Jose attorney.
He exited the rear door on a bus, and he lost his life from being crushed by the rear wheels.
Alexander says he knows this because of what happened to Gopal and Saraswati Iyer of Cupertino. He represented them after their April 2015 accident, also involving the VTA bus they were on.
We have been traveling by the bus for 6 years. Wherever we go together.
That day, Gopal and Saraswati were riding bus 9808, Route 54 at De Anza Boulevard and Homestead Road. Surveillance video from a nearby ATM shows the bus pulling up and the Iyers deboarding from the rear door. Gopal got out first to help his wife down.
I held her hand and I was in the front.
He says Saraswati was still in the doorway when the doors shut on her.
I am shouting that time, please open the door, please open the door. Nobody knows. Suddenly fell down.
Saraswati's fall brought Gopal to the ground as well. Unable to get up,
the hind wheel we could see passing away.
They thought their last moments would also be together.
I said, this is the last.
The couple survived. The bus's weight broke Gopal's hand and elbow and crushed Saraswati's right leg.
So they had done 13 surgeries, plastic surgery.
Yes.
Where was the bus?
We didn't know. The bus went away, that's all.
According to the collision report, the driver, 63-year-old Christine Lori Husted, admitted she did not see Gopal and Saraswati Iyer trying to exit the rear doors before running them over. And she did not feel any bumps or anything unusual. This was an accident that didn't just change their lives, but their families as well.
It was around 2 in the afternoon. I was at work, and I got a call on my cell phone.
Sri Iyer emigrated his parents from India to the U.S. after the family had been separated for 10 years.
I quickly parked the car, and I ran to them. I went and saw my dad first. And the first thing he told me was, "I'm sorry." I told him it's not your fault.
In court against VTA, the Iyers learned this wasn't the driver's first incident. Court records show Husted was responsible for 3 prior collisions, including one deemed preventable. And she received 1 day of retraining for 2 of the incidents after she was allowed to drive again.
I just wish that this does not happen to anybody else.
According to VTA, since 2013, there have been 66 incidents involving their buses and pedestrians, including riders who just deboarded. Of those, 22 had injuries. 3 people died. VTA is being tight-lipped about these cases, including Benny Chung's.
Mr. Francis, I'm Candace with KTVU.
After weeks of requesting an interview, we caught up with VTA's Rufus Francis at a public meeting to get answers about safety procedures and that leaked internal memo about Chung he wrote.
We just had a few questions about driver training and retraining after accidents.
That's from operations.
Well, we are just trying to get answers about the retraining of drivers. Are you able to answer those questions?
No, not at this time. I've got a meeting.
Outside the meeting, VTA spokesperson directed us to emails her department sent to investigate.
We've given you the information we're going to give you.
VTA provided a general description of retraining policies, such as performing some maneuvers and street driving and revisiting skills that may have contributed or prevented the accident. VTA would not talk about Christine Husted's driving record.
This driver had 3 prior collisions on her record.
So we're not obligated to grant you an on-camera interview.
Is there an issue with buses not pulling close enough to the curb and elderly passengers falling?
No.
Why isn't the public made aware of these accidents when they happened? When the Ayers.
What are we supposed to do when an accident happens? We're supposed to take out an ad in the newspaper?
It's been 2 months since Chung's death. Neither San Jose Police or VTA have released any further information. Last year, the Ayers settled their multi-million-dollar case against VTA.
We do not know how many more accidents have happened like this.
They say what they lost is something money can't buy.
Total life is completely gone for us now. Now we are almost under house arrest.
Home arrested.
Do you think VTA learned their lesson?
I'm really not sure. If another incident such as the accident that my parents encountered has happened, I'm assuming they've not.
Benny Chung's case is still open. VTA says the driver involved is on administrative leave. Meanwhile, Christine Husted, the driver in the Ayers case, is still employed as a bus driver. Tonight, VTA released a statement saying they don't believe our report is objective. They wrote that before this story even aired, emphasizing their safety record. Well, we've posted all information they provided and their full responses on our website, ktvU.com.
Does VTA notify the public when there are accidents like this?
Well, Frank, Julie, as far as we know, looking at these incidents, no. One we learned about by talking to the victims and the attorney themselves. With Benny Chung's death, the public was first made aware of this connection with the bus through that leaked internal memo. VTA spokeswoman told me with these kinds of cases, she didn't see why that kind of information would help the public.
Yeah, sometimes when people are elderly, it just takes them longer to get off the bus. Candace, thank you. And if you have a tip for our 2 Investigates team,